is Professor Ileana Marin, with a PhD in textual studies and another one in comparative literature. Professor Marin is affiliated with the University of Washington in Seattle, where she teaches interdisciplinary courses for the honors program. She also chairs the Doctoral School of Cultural Studies, Space, Image, Text, Territory at the University of Bucharest. Ileana Marin has published books and articles on tragic myth, pre-Raphaelite artists, Victorian aesthetics, to connect with our previous presenter of Erasure, as well as on the artistic legacy of communism and the materiality of texts. Since 2020, she has taken on translating Romanian female writers to complete the picture of contemporary Romanian literature for the English-speaking literary world. In 2023, she published the essay "The Boulevards of Bucharest: Wandering the City" with writers, visual and multimedia artists in the artist's book "Micronarratives and the City" and Annotated Map of Bucharest. She is the co-founder and currently vice president of the Seattle nonprofit American Romanian Community. Romanian Cultural Society, the community in Seattle, in recognition of her contribution to maintaining Romanian as a heritage language and of her initiative to create academic programs that bring Seattle students to Romania. On December 2019, she was awarded, alongside Otilia Bărăboi, the Order of Merit in Education at the rank of Cavalier by the President of Romania, Mr. Klaus Iohannis. Ileana, if you're here, please join us. You have the floor.
Thank you very much for this generous introduction. And without further ado, I'd like to start my presentation. And thank you, Theo, for inviting me. And when you actually suggested that I should talk about the international programs that I have run for the University of Washington, I thought of the idea that brought me together with Otilia because we share the same vision, meaning bridging cultures. And it's not a coincidence, the fact that I started my first program abroad, Exploration Seminar to Romania, in 2013, the same year when Otilia and myself co-founded ARCS. So I think it was that kind of convergence of ideas that brought us together, but also, I would say, created the energy around our own careers and, of course, around ARCS. And talking about my career, I would start by saying that, as Yuto mentioned, with two directions in my field of research, I also have tried to bridge disciplines and also to bring people together around important, I would say, ideas and, of course, something that matters to all of us. So today I will try to talk a little bit about the exploration seminars, and I ran, I think, 5 so far. And it all started in 2013. And you see the two sides of my career, the UW exploration seminars that are part of my teaching assignment. And also I teach other classes, as you mentioned, for the honors program. And of course, a picture of Otilia and myself in Washington, D.C., one of the conferences that we attended there. The first program that I ran in 2013 was dedicated fully to Romania. And as territory of cultural diversity that was struggling at the time with transitioning from dictatorship to democracy, and of course for trying to integrate fully into the EU. I took students to several cities of Romania, and from each major city that we visited, and we were hosted by prominent universities in Romania, in Bucharest, Sibiu, Brașov, and Suceava. We also had the opportunity to have field trips so that the exploration was truly an in-depth one. And students were not just exposed to real life challenges of Romania at the time, but also they could put things together, reading about Romanian history and politics, and actually walking through the lives of Romanians at the time. Not to mention the fact that 2013 was the year, and we landed in Bucharest after the invasion of Crimea. So that was a very problematic time for Eastern Europe. And the group had the opportunity to talk to Ioan Stanomir, who at the time was one of the advisors for the Romanian president. But from that program on, from Scars on Romanian Culture, Dracula and Ceausescu, and actually I quoted the former ambassador, His Excellency Jim Rosa Pepe, who wrote a book on Ceausescu as Dracula, I moved on to a much more comprehensive program, conflicting currents, Romania, Bulgaria, Georgia, in a turbulent Black Sea. And this program ran for 3 years, as you can see, and it was, I would think, given more insights to American students because they had the opportunity to contextualize Eastern Europe. As we all know, actually the previous communist bloc was not coherent by any means, was not a coherent unit. So there are several nuances that actually while you're reading a history book, you missed. You have to be there. You have to see the remains of, or the aftermath of the communist regime to understand how much damage that regime made. And of course, in spite of the fact that these countries actually share the same ideology, they all dealt with different local agendas, national crises, or they dealt with international politics in different ways. So this was when actually the idea to address the issue of borders, both theoretically but also experientially, came to mind. And I started studying kinopolitics or social kinetics, meaning the theory and analysis of social motion and the politics of movement, because borders do not only shape cultures, do not give states a container, I would say, but they are doing more than that. Actually, borders are inflection points, as Thomas Nail, one of the researchers, and he published a seminal book in 2016, was talking about the inflection points where flows change directions. So a border could be seen as a bifurcation of space or geopolitical space, but also a convergence zone where you meet the most multicultural environment. So I took advantage of the closeness of these countries and also the variety of cultures that you can actually study in a short period of time, be exposed to them, and still gain something from that experience. And exploration seminars are about 1 month in length, and they truly immerse students, and not only students, actually for several of the programs, I had professionals from Seattle who joined the group, former UW students who are interested in these issues. So I would say that with borderlands between East and West, Romania, Moldova, and Ukraine, 2019, and this was a very timely program. And my partner in this program was the former US ambassador to Romania, Mark Gittenstein, the current American ambassador to the EU, who provided the diplomatic aspect of the relationships that these countries have to maintain, I would say, and have to cultivate, not only among themselves, but also with the rest of the world. And it was this very interesting program that created opportunities for several of the students in the program, because several of them actually started working for the US Department. Some of them right now are graduate students in very prominent political science programs in the US, or they were granted actually access to work abroad because they were part of this program. And as you can see, the photo we took at Percesk Lavra in 2019, juxtaposed with images very close to this place in Kyiv. Only 2 days ago, actually, the Defense Secretary John Healey looked through the destruction in that city. But because I was talking about borders and our focus was borders in this program, I would also like to add the fact that these programs are interdisciplinary, which means that we cross disciplinary borders. Borders are, at this point in academia, or at least in humanities, are, I would say, force academics to look closely and see the connections that can bridge disciplines more than we should be disciplinary and we should deal specifically with one issue from one perspective. This is not the case anymore. So we crossed old and now forgotten borders, as well as current demarcation lines between EU and non-EU countries, as you have seen. And I think this is in Kozalets, the whole group of us. And more importantly, I think than being exposed to a different culture is to appreciate the place from where you come, actually. Thus, American students realize how much more flexible the American system is, the education system is, how much more permissive the American system is, and comparing and contrasting what they have learned at home with what they have learned abroad, I think they have grown into young professionals extremely successful. And for me, equally important was to share my expertise in Eastern Europe, with a focus on Romania, of course, and Romanian language, and with Romanian heritage students in Seattle. But before that, my last year's attempt to run a program in Poland and Romania failed. And it failed because of the proximity of the war, actually. Nonetheless, I will try again because I do believe in the value of such programs and actually exposing American students to cultures in the eastern part of Europe. This is a map that actually was put together in 2017, and each country is represented by a famous book. For me, it was intriguing the fact that Romania has only a partial world there change, you can see, but nothing more. But being part of the humanities, I would say that we need to promote the values of our own contemporary culture. And Cărtărescu is one of the most prominent Romanian writers at this point. He's wonderfully translated in English by Sean Cotter, and he came to Seattle a year and a half ago, to talk about solenoid. And I was honored to talk to him in front of a large audience at the Seattle Public Library, as you can see. But this is also part of bridging cultures and crossing borders. You can do that through literature. You can do that through reading a book in translation. And of course, together with Otilia, we initiated a class together, Romania Transformed. And since 2017, I think, we have taught this class together. Recently, I taught it by myself, and then we hope that next year we will teach the class again together. And again, you may think that it's about Romanian literature, art, and film, as the title is saying. Actually, it's much more than that, because not only the fact that the class is under the umbrella of global literary studies, but it also addresses the contributions of the Romanian avant-garde, which became French, or the expats from Romania who became US citizens. So everything I feel that I'm doing professionally is crossing borders, disciplinary or politically or in any other way, including the idea of changing languages. And here I have a quote from Paul J., who is saying that we have increasingly come to recognize about the locations we study is that they are not fixed, static, or unchanging. So we have to admit this. And I think this is, in a way, my philosophy of teaching. And I will wrap up my short presentation by saying that this is precisely why we work for us, for ARCS. And we have, in the past, benefited from a very important grant from the OSPI, Heritage Language Grant. And about 50 Romanian American students benefited from this program, and they received certificates in global competence, also certificates in bilingualism. And I think that, and you see a couple of examples here, what is more important for us is the fact that all of them, and I underline, all of these students got in very good in American universities. And some of them have become published authors, like Ilinca, for example, or Ileana Moldovanu, about whose research and effort GW newsletter actually published an article. And Ileana Moldovanu was part of this program, and she collected stories from Ukrainian refugees' children, giving them a voice in Estonia. She visited several of the Eastern European countries, and I feel like there is nothing more rewarding for an instructor, for a professor, than to see that the baton is given to someone who is not only capable, but engaged fully in taking that education further. How am I on time?
I believe you shining the light on Liana was very important. The student, and I've had the privilege to see her in action. She facilitated the workshops at the for the Romanian American National Heritage Awards this year in Washington, D.C. at the residency of the Romanian ambassador, where we had a day long of trainings for young college-bound Romanian American students and who received training on how to do their applications for colleges, and supporting the next generation of Romanian American leaders, affirming their identity, their heritage language and their cultural identity. And I can only imagine what it means to be received at the residency of the ambassador at their tender age. And it must, I think, I said that day, I think 50 more Romanians were born today because of the awards that the ARCS have been implementing for over 7 years. We were on as the 8th edition. We brought it up under the umbrella of the Federation of Romanian American Organizations, but it is only because of you implementing this program of excellence that we were able to pick up and shoulder the burden of implementing it. And that's my leeway into introducing Otilia, who's your other half at ARCS.
I'd like to add something else, because
yes,
Otilia was the lead. Otilia was the lead in the OSPI grant, and her vision truly worked wonders for these young minds. And we cannot, as I said, we cannot be more I'd say we cannot be more rewarded by this young minds and beautiful engagement of theirs.
Thank you for this presentation.